You run a podcast and you want to make it your full-time gig. You want to make money from talking into one of these. But to do that, you actually need to start making money. And right now, it seems impossible to turn your small audience into a big income. Luckily, there are podcasters doing this every single day through executing what we're going to cover in this video. I'm going to give you 10 different ways to monetize your podcast audience, even if it's small, so that you can start making the money that you want from your show to level up both your content and your life. Let's make you some money. So the first thing you have to understand as a podcaster, if you want to start making money, is you have to change how you see your show. Stop viewing it only as a podcast and start seeing your show as a business, and more specifically, a media company, because that's truly what you are. You are creating media, and that's the product that you're selling. But how much money you make off that media comes down to your skill and your strategy to best monetize that, which is what we're gonna help you with today. And this should be exciting for you, because once you start seeing your show as a business, you can truly open your eyes to all the opportunities there are to make money from what you're already doing. And I promise you, there are so many more than you realize. And you'll see that throughout this video. The next tip before we get into the specific monetization methods is to really have an understanding of who your audience is. Because just like any other business, the better that you know your customers, the better that you can give them what they actually want to turn your business into what you want it to be. There's so much value in understanding this, and there is a ton of value in a concentrated audience. Understand your audience as much as possible. Doing this is gonna help you maximize the potential of every strategy we're gonna walk through. And the first monetization method is through exclusive content. You can do this through Patreon, podcast memberships, or just exclusive content. And a lot of podcast hosts have this built right into their tool. And so what you can do as a podcaster is create specific episodes or different kinds of content and offer it on a subscription model to your most loyal listeners. And there's so many different ways to do this. You can give them different perks, you can create exclusive content, and you can offer that on a recurring monthly basis or one-time payments for exclusive content. There's so many different ways that you can really go above and beyond, provide more value, more access to you and your content to the people who want it most. And especially if you have a small audience, this is a fantastic way to start making money from low-hanging fruit. The people who are consuming your content every single week, they want more content from you, they want more access, they want more connection, and you can give it to them and make money through doing it. So that is a fantastic place to start. The second method is more of a long-term approach, but I think you should start it right now. For your show, you should have an email list or an SMS list or both. And an SMS list is just a text messaging list. And why you want this as a podcaster is because even though people subscribe to your show on their favorite podcast app, if that app were to go away tomorrow, you've lost that relationship. Whereas an email list, if people sign up for your list, you can email them whenever you want. And that is incredibly valuable to you. But it also makes you and your show way more valuable, because if a sponsor approaches you wanting to be featured in an episode, you can also upsell them to be included in the email list and charge them even more. So simply by having this list and providing value to them in a different way, you now dramatically increase the potential size of any sponsorship in the future. And this is why so many people are starting email lists. They're just so valuable, and there's so much opportunity to make money from them. There are so many different tools to help you start and grow your email list, but our personal favorite is Beehive. That's who we use to host our Podcast Nut newsletter, because it's so easy to use and they have so many tools built in to help you grow it as effectively as possible. If you want to try Beehive out for your newsletter, you can do so using the link down below and start completely for free. The next method is one I've done a ton of, and that is coaching or consulting. And this is especially valuable if you are an educator or an expert in a specific field, and that's why people listen to you. People are already consuming your content because you're a solution to their problem in one way, shape, or form through your expertise and the content that you share. But naturally, through your episodes, you can only touch broad level things. You can't touch people's specific problems. So people can still pull value away from your content, but want to go deeper for their specific problem. And you can help solve that problem for these people by offering paid coaching or consulting. So you can give them one-on-one access to you and your expertise through a call and charge them for that. And there are a ton of tools to help you do this, like Calendly or TidyCal, where people can block off time in your calendar and pay for that coaching call. And because it is so personalized, you can charge a high ticket for this call. So you only really need to be getting a few of these per month to start making some serious money from your show. And while coaching and consulting is fantastic, I love it so much, and I've done a ton of it, it's not scalable. That's the biggest problem with it. Every time that you sell this, you are now trading your time for that money. And although it can be great money, it's not scalable at all, whereas the next solution is, and that is through creating an online course. If you find that a ton of people who listen to you have very similar sets of problems, you can package the solution to those problems in a course that you build once and can sell as many times as you want. And this can be a great way to package package a ton of information at a lower price point because it is way more scalable and you only have to build it once and can add on to it as necessary. I love online courses. I know a lot of people kind of see them negatively and they have a bit of a bad rap, but if you know that you can provide value to your audience and you deliver on the promise of that course through the content in it, nobody's gonna be mad that you're selling a course. You'll probably be shocked at how many people are thanking you after they gave you money because you solving a real problem has value to it. And a course could be a great and approachable way to do that. And this method can also be tied into the previous method because if people go through your course and they like the value that they got from it, but it didn't solve their specific nuanced problem, they could pay for a coaching call and you just made money from both fronts and also helped someone solve their problem. So don't let general negativity stop you from creating a course. If you know it can be valuable and can help people, it's worth making and can be a very scalable way for you to make money passively over time. I love online courses. If you're an educator and don't have one, you really should. The next method is another one of my personal favorites, and this is affiliate marketing. And so what affiliate marketing is you as a content creator are promoting a product or service, and anybody that you send to go buy that product or service, you make a commission on that sale. And this is such a massive multi-billion-dollar industry that basically every business has some sort of affiliate component built in. Amazon has a huge program, most software solutions have a big program, and many product businesses do as well. So think about products or services that you know your audience could take a ton of value from and would probably buy anyways, even if you didn't recommend it to them. Become an affiliate for these solutions, then mention them in your episodes, send your listeners over to go buy, and then you'll make money from every person who does buy. And as long as you've done your vetting and you're recommending actual solid products or services, it can be a very passive way for you to make money predictably month over month. Because many offers that you can promote can even pay on a monthly recurring basis, especially if it's for something like software. There are so many programs where if you refer someone, you keep making money as long as that person stays a customer. I've done this myself personally. I've made thousands and thousands of dollars through affiliate marketing, simply through talking about software that I knew people would want and take value from and sending them over there to go buy it. And because I took the time to see that it actually was a great product, people stayed with it for a long time and I made a ton of money. So as a podcaster, I think this is the easiest method to get started with. And it's also the lowest weight because the awesome thing about affiliate marketing is once you send someone to go buy that product or service, your job is done and you get paid. The fulfillment is on the company. The customer support is also on the company. You don't have to deal with all the tedious things. You just send them the customer and the traffic. So I'm a massive fan of affiliate marketing. I guarantee you there are products and services out there that already make sense that your listeners would want, and you can just send them there and make some money. Next method is probably the most obvious one that comes to mind when you think of making money through podcasts, and that is through brand sponsorships or ads within your show. And this can be a great way to make money, especially if you have a larger audience. It can be a little more difficult if your audience is small because of how media buying typically works. But there is a way to get around this. So how media buying typically works if you buy Facebook ads or YouTube ads is you pay based on a CPM or an RPM based model. So basically you pay a specific amount for exactly how many people you're going to reach. So let's say hypothetically it's $4 for 1,000 people, which is random example. You would buy specifically based on that exact number of people that consume your ad or consume the episode that your ad was in. So naturally, if you have a small audience and you're competing against people that have massive audiences, the RPM or CPM model just makes a lot less sense for you because you typically can't demand that much money. But I would challenge that because as a podcaster, your relationship that you have with your audience is really, really valuable. And it's not like traditional paid media. It's not like a Facebook ad. It's not like a YouTube ad. You have a deep relationship with these people and they really value your opinion. So you should not go look at traditional CPM or RPM based advertising and use that to price ads or sponsorships in your episodes. It's really cutting yourself short. And much like I mentioned earlier, if you really deeply understand your audience might be incredibly valuable in the hands of the right sponsor. And I'll use us as an example. We here at Podcast Nut create content and run a newsletter exclusively for podcasters to helping them grow and monetize their show. So we know that everyone in our audience is a podcaster, and that's really, really valuable for the right sponsor. Let's say there's a podcasting conference coming up that wants podcasters to go to this expensive conference. If they come to us and try to get featured in our podcast or in our newsletter and expect to pay what they would pay on, say, a YouTube ad, that would just be absolutely ridiculous for us because of the connection that we have with our audience and how concentrated our audience is. We know that anybody who consumes our content is a podcaster, and that's exactly who these people are trying to reach. So even if they don't get in front of a ton of people, it's still worth a ton of money. And so that's what I want you to think about as a podcaster. And that's why I mentioned earlier how valuable it is to understand your audience and who that audience is most valuable valuable too, because you can probably create some sponsorships for you even if they aren't reaching out to you. If you deeply know who's listening to your content and have a deep connection with them, you could go create your dream sponsorship, approach the brand, explain why your audience is perfect and what it could mean for them. And that could now turn into a big income source for you, even though that brand would have never thought to sponsor a podcast traditionally. And that's the other obstacle you're gonna have to deal with as a podcaster, especially a smaller one, is although podcast advertising is so valuable, a lot of brands, it's just not even on their radar. So you sometimes have to be the educator to these brands or to the marketing director at the brand, explaining why a podcast is so valuable and why your audience in particular is so valuable. But this is one of the biggest ways that small shows can get creative and make a ton of money from a smaller audience. It's through the art of value positioning and understanding how much value their audience has, especially for the right partner. But don't sleep on this. Even if your show is small, once again, there still could be a ton of potential money for you if you find the right partner. And don't be afraid to reach out to people. My favorite way to get connected with potential brands is through Instagram DM, on Twitter, finding the right contact on LinkedIn, or using any brand email contact that I can find to get the conversation going and at least get pointed in the right direction. Most small shows sleep on this. They just think their audience isn't big enough and they're leaving thousands and thousands of dollars potentially on the table. We don't want you to do that. And since you're a podcaster who does want to make money from your show, you definitely want to subscribe to our free weekly newsletter. Every week we send out a free newsletter covering the best tactics in podcasting to help you grow and monetize your show. And you can sign up for free using the link down below. Just podcastnut/subscribe, type in your email, confirm the subscription, and you'll get that every week. The next method is another one of my favorites because the potential for this is just massive. And that is to build your own product or service that you use your episodes to promote. And this is something more and more creators are doing. The biggest and most obvious examples are things like Mr. Beast with Feastables and Beast Burger, Logan Paul and KSI with Prime. But there are so many more examples of creators building brands and businesses off of the leverage their media provides and the audience they already have. But what stops most podcasters from even thinking about this is because they just think, oh, well, my audience isn't millions like Logan Paul, so I can never create a product or service. But that's not true at all, because there are so many products or services that you could sell to a more niche audience that could be a lot more valuable to this specific group of people. With the example of Logan Paul selling a drink like Prime, he's trying to sell to everybody. So naturally, you can't demand a ton of money for a product like that. Let's say, for example, you're a gardener, which is the first thing that came to my mind. And you know that most gardening tools just have one fundamental flaw. Maybe the handle is just too small. And you know that people would love a bigger handle. It has never been easier to go make your own product, which you could then turn around and sell to your listeners. And I actually have a good friend of mine who that's what he does, is he sources products for people overseas. And his name is Kian, and I've linked his YouTube channel down below. What he does is he helps people find suppliers and manufacturers of products that people want built and helps them get built. But it's never been easier to do this for yourself. And so that's for a specific product-based business. And why this can scale so much bigger than you even realize is because let's say hypothetically you only have 1,000 people that love gardening, but you know this would be an awesome product for these people. You could create this product in a small limited supply, sell it to your listeners. Maybe you only sell 100. If these 100 people love this product, they're gonna spread it to other people that don't even listen to your show that also garden. And people always have friends that are in aligned interests. So this is the true potential of building your own product or service. It can grow way beyond just the people who listen to your show if it is a great solution for the kind of people who listen to your show. And the garden example is an easy one to understand and a huge potential market. But a lot of podcasters get so fixated on the sheer number of listeners, and that stops them from building a solution that could be potentially massive and game-changing for their life, their business, and their show. So don't sleep on the opportunity. Only you lose by doing that. It has never been easier to create your own product or service and start as small as you need to and scale up as demand increases. But that is my favorite method of making money because of how big the potential is and how small you can now start. Previously, back in the day, if you wanted to build that gardening tool, you would need to order thousands and thousands of that product. You don't need to do that anymore. You can start so much smaller, and you can even crowdsource. So you could sell that product before you even made it and then use the money from your customers to fund the order of that product, making it almost risk-free for you. So start thinking like this. Think about your show more as a business and the business that you can build off of that media company, and you'll see how big of the potential your show actually has, even if your audience is small. Sorry, I went off on a tangent there. I'm just really, really passionate about this stuff. If you've ever thought about making your own product, definitely check out Kian's channel. I've linked it down below. Okay, let's move to the next one. So the next potential way that you can make money from a small audience is by having events, and that can be either virtual or in person. People love hanging out with people with similar interests, and so you can provide the opportunity for people to do this and maybe even add additional content from you or other speakers and charge people to actually attend this event, whether online or in person. And this is a way that people are making a ton of money because usually people will pay a good chunk of money to go to an event like this. Let's use the same gardening example. Let's say that you know that a ton of your listeners are in New York. You can create a get together of New York gardeners, position it to your audience, sell tickets to that event, get brands to sponsor it, have gardening experts come in and teach techniques, and everyone is happy and you were the connector of all these different parties, and you can make a good chunk of money for doing that. Of course, this is not a small amount of work, but it can be a big amount of money if you do it right. It can also help take your levels of fandom to the next level. If people who listen to your episodes come to your event, get to meet you, get a ton of value, and make friends from your event, they are now a lifelong fan and supporter of anything that you do in the future. So the money can go even farther beyond just that physical one-time event or that virtual event and can become way bigger down the line. But don't sleep on events, both virtual and in person. They can be a fantastic way to build community and make a ton of money. The next way to make money is a no-brainer, and that is through starting a YouTube channel for your podcast and creating content off of your episodes. So if you're recording hour-long episodes, then cutting down those episodes into individual clips that can live on YouTube and perform on YouTube to bring in ad revenue for you directly from the YouTube platform. If you're not filming your podcast yet, you have to start right now. Video podcasting is the future. YouTube and Spotify are investing billions of dollars into that bet. And if you don't start doing video, you're leaving so much on the table and you're going to get left behind. So a great place to start is by creating a YouTube channel for your podcast. And it is super easy to do. We have a tutorial walking through exactly how to do it, and I've linked it in the card above. And to help you grow your new podcast's YouTube channel, in future videos on this channel right here, I'm going to be helping you with strategy that goes into growing a YouTube channel specifically for a podcast. So if that's going to be a goal of yours, make sure to click subscribe and hit the bell button so you don't miss those videos that can help you grow. The next method is one I'm willing to bet you've never thought of because it doesn't exactly involve your specific podcast. Let me explain. Through creating your own podcast and running the show, you have shown that you have the ability to create content and run a podcast. That is super valuable for a lot of brands and businesses that want to have a podcast, and it could mean a ton of business for them if someone could come in and actually run this for them. And this can either be an internal podcast communicating to employees within a company, or a podcast that gets shared with the public to help bring in new customers and clients. And I've actually helped people do this exact thing. They were running a show for themselves, not making a ton of money, but a brand saw what they were doing and saw the potential of what that could mean for their business if someone who knew how to do this came in and ran a show specific for their target client or customer. And that's the way that you can make money, is you can run a show for somebody else. And so if you love podcasting, this can be a great way to be involved a lot more within podcasting and open up more time for you to run your show through helping someone else start, run, and grow theirs. And the specific person I thought of who did this most recently, his show was not super huge. So don't let that be the reason that you don't go do this for a brand, because the size of the audience really doesn't matter all that much, because the audience size typically comes down to the potential market for that kind of content. And so naturally, if you're talking about a very niche subject, you're not going to have 1 million listeners on every single episode. It's just not possible. But you have shown the ability to run a show, do so consistently, and make content from it, which could mean a ton for a business if you were to go in and run this for them, helping their potential customers find them and buy through them. So this method is to run a show for an established brand or business. Super slept on tactic. Almost no one is doing this, but those that are getting paid a good chunk of money to do something they love. Running a YouTube channel for your show is a fantastic way to make money, but it's also an even better way to grow your show overall. So what you should do right this moment is start a YouTube channel for your podcast. And it is incredibly easy, and we walk through every single step in this video right here. So go ahead and click this. I will see you over there and help you get started. Peace.